Hi, so today's a new day. We stopped filming yesterday and we're going to start again today. And we're going to start with putting the zipper in. The first thing though we have to do is we have to hem the insides because the fabric is fraying and we don't want that. The easiest way is to actually put bias tape on. So bias tape, when it's double folded, it opens like this. And then you would put the fabric inside of here, close it up, and then you sew down, and that makes a nice clean edge. But I'm actually not going to do that. I prefer, because this is white and it stands out, I actually prefer to use the same fabric and actually make my own bias tape. So I will show you how to do that. So I have cut 3 strips, well 2 strips, we only need 2. The third one's for the neckline. But I've cut 2 pieces of fabric and all I did was use my ruler. I cut it out to match. Each one, very easy to do. You'll notice the fabric piece is a little bit longer, and that's okay because we can trim off the end when we're done. But to make this look like a bias tape, we're going to have to iron it. So let's go to the ironing machine. To make bias, first you fold it in half and iron it. Silk is very, very touchy. You don't want your heat to be too high because you can actually kind of melt it. And it's the same with ribbon because it's silk. So you want to watch your temperature when you're working with silk. And then you open it up and you'll see the crease down the middle. And what you do now is you fold one side to the middle. And then you iron that down. And you do the same to the other side. It doesn't have to be perfect. And fold it in half again just to give it another crease. But this is how you make your own bias tape from fabric. I want to show you a little trick before we sew this on of how to keep it in place. So I like to use Elmer's glue. It's normal school glue for kids, and you can buy it at the Dollarama. There is fabric glue you can use, and heat and bond, other types of materials, but they're actually pretty expensive, and there's nothing wrong with this. This is inexpensive, it works, and nobody's even going to know that you used it. You don't need very much. You just need a little dab, and then put your material inside of it. And then so when you fold it over, then I like to pin it so that it further stays in place. So we're going to line this up here, and we're going to take back stitch twice just to lock the stitch in place. All you have to do is line up your fabric with the edge of the foot and you should be fine. And take the pins out of the back stitch a couple stitches as well, just to lock it in place so it doesn't undo. And then you trim off your excess. And that's how you make an edge. So we hemmed up both sides. Don't worry about it being perfect. This is your first dress. It'll look nice. Nobody's gonna come up and say, oh my God, your stitching's crooked. It's not gonna happen. It's fine. So we're gonna put the zipper in now, but I first wanna show you something on the dress. So, oh yes, I have curls. My braids are out, it's a new day. Been nice, gotta love them braids. But back to the zipper. So a zipper on a jingle dress usually goes down the front, and it goes long down the front for ease of access to get it on or off, and then to get it back on. But for beginner sewers, I suggest it's in the back and you cut it at the waist just to learn how to put the zipper in. So when I tried to put it on one piece of fabric down the front, I actually really struggled with this. So to put in the trim on the edge of the fabric and then to connect it at the end, I actually had a hard time. So for a beginner sewer, I suggest you try it this way just to get used to your machine, just to get used to putting in a zipper, and then move on and make another dress once you get more skilled at sewing. So your machine should come with this. It's a zipper foot, and that's what we're going to need to put in a zipper. So how you take this foot off is there's a lever back here, and you lift it up and this will fall off. Then you can put this one in, and which side you hook it to depends on which side you're going to put your zipper on. So we're going to put it on the right side first. And you need to use the lever. You have to lift the lever up and then push the foot up and let the lever go, and it will hook on to that bar, and you're ready to put the zipper in. So to put in the zipper is very easy. You line up the zipper facing up, and your fabric facing up. This is how it's going to look from the back. So you're going to be able to unzip it, zip it up. So you want the fabric how you would look at it, and then you're going to line this up on top. These are going to both sit, and you're going to sew them both on top. So this one we're going to do first. And it's a straight stitch. All the way down. Now it's the same. You're going to want to back stitch a couple before you go forward. And the foot guides it because it goes along the edge of the teeth, so it makes it pretty simple to do. So backwards, now forwards. Now you're gonna open the zipper as you go. So this is why it's important to have a closed end so that the zipper doesn't pull off. On open end zippers, they do that. So now this, you won't lose the zipper, but you can open it all the way, and it makes putting on the zipper really easy. And then back stitch a couple, lock it in place. Now do not cut this off. You're gonna leave it. All you're gonna do is trim off your threads. And you're going to sew it onto the other side without cutting this off at all. This doesn't come off until you connect the bottom skirt to the top. So leave this in place. All right, now we're going to do the other side. So we're going to do the other side, and you have to switch the zipper foot So again, you press the lever and it comes off. Hold the lever up again and slide it up. And you're ready to do the other side. Again, make sure that your fabric is the right way facing up. Line it up. Same as the other side. Back stitch a couple. Before just running. Open the zipper as you go. Lock the zipper again, and then I'll show you how it looks closed. Trim your threads. Do not trim the zipper once it's done. Zipper it. And that's how you put in a zipper, easy peasy. Now, with silk, like I said, it likes to move around a lot. It's a lot trickier to work with than cotton. So this was a little wonky, so what I did was I just ironed it. Just iron it and flatten it out a little bit. And no problem, you're back to things looking well. Looks good. Now, at the top of the zipper, the teeth end here. And this is just fabric, which that's why you want to start the zipper from the top, because now we're going to put a bias edge on here, a hem. So I made another strip from the same fabric. I'm going to cut it in half. And now I'm going to put on around the collar on both sides. So the next part of this back piece at the top is that we're going to put in a hem on the same that we did here. We're going to put it on the collar line. Now, going around a curve is a little bit tricky because this is a straight piece of fabric. It doesn't want to bend or stretch. So we're going to fix that by putting notches into this strip. So the piece that you're going to cut, you want it hanging off a little bit off the edges, both edges. So you cut your notches like where they're going to curve around this spot on both sides, here and here. So it's going to look like this when it's done. So when you start it, it's going to you're going to attach it around this way. So I'm going to pin this. And you can see how the notches allow you kind of to push the fabric together so that it curves and so you want the edges to go together, edge to edge, like that, and that's where you pin it. So the notches allow you to adjust your fabric so that you can match up the edges. That's what you want. You want a clean edge around. So after you pin, that's how it should look. The edges should match up. And now you're going to sew it one line, straight line along where that iron fold is, and that will tack that down. Now, this part at the end, you're going to want to have a nice clean finish. I know I gotta cut these off. So you're gonna fold this down. So in the end, along the zipper line, you're gonna see a nice clean edge. So fold this down and then sew. You don't have to worry about this edge because this edge is gonna be, raw edge is gonna be your shoulder, and that's gonna be sewn together with the other back part. So it's only this part on the zipper you have to worry about. So I'm gonna go do that on my machine. Okay, so I sewed that piece down. That's how it looks. It's the back of it. So now we're gonna sew down the front. So we're gonna pin it. Make sure this part is tucked in nice. Right here. Why do I have crooked pins? Gotta get me some new pins. Okay, see? And there's the finished. Once you sew this down along the edge, and then it's done. So I'm gonna go with the machine now. So this part's a little tricky with this hem inside. I gotta tuck this in there. I don't want to see this. Back stitch a couple, and then go forward, and just go along the edge. Back stitch a couple, and that's it. Now we're going to trim this end off. Trim these pieces off of thread. And there's your edge. This is the finished back piece. We're going to leave this zipper on until we attach it to the bottom skirt, but this is done. The next piece that I want is the front piece. And the only thing I want to do with this piece is to add the edging around the collar. So you'll notice this is a little bit longer than the other pieces I cut. I just want to make sure that it will come across and I have enough to go around. Now I already cut the notches in each side. There should be 4 that will go along so that it can bend around each side. Now the only other thing is the front piece of a dress or shirt is actually, the collar is lower down than the back piece. So I want to cut this just probably 1.5 inches wider, open more than the back piece is. So the back piece was probably 2 inches from the straight edge, and then this will probably come down about 3.5 inches. So maybe that big. I'm just going to make it a little bit more rounder So it looks a little pointy. And if you're unsure, just measure it against your, so that I might want to put it open a little bit more here. I'll check again. That looks good to me. I like that. So you're just trying to line up the edge to edge. And if you need to adjust, that's what the notches are for. It lets you move it side to side a little bit, so it'll fit in there nicely. So you can see this is fitting in there pretty good. Has a nice curve to it now. Just remember to put it on right. So this is the front of the dress, and then you open the shiny side to the back, because once you finish, remember it's going to fold over, and then the shiny side will be on the shiny side. So just make sure you get that part right. So this is around. I'm going to sew along that iron fold. I'll be right back. Okay, so I attached that part and sewed it on. So now we're going to flip this over. So you can see the underlying thread. So when I sew, I'm going to kind of try to cover that. Make sure the edge covers that. And then you won't see underneath it. You'll just see a nice clean finish. And it's the front of the dress, so you want it to kind of look clean. And then so when you do sew this part on, sew as close to the edge as you can get. That way it will hide the stitch underneath. I'm just going to keep pinning it all the way till I think the more pins the better. I think it just holds it more steady in place. It's not like a straight stitch, and you don't want it to move because it is a curve. So that's all pinned in place. And I'm going to go to the machine and sew it down right along the edge, and then that'll be done. A couple back stitches. The machine will kind of take the curve out of it and kind of straighten it out, and that's okay. You can let it do that. Run it straight along, close to the edge. You can hide the imperfections of the other stitch underneath. Go slow, there's no need to rush. Take your time. Lock that stitch in. Trim off the edges on both sides. Like I said, silk is a little bit more wonky to work with. So these two pieces are done, the top. So